So, welcome everyone to Tea Time with Lady D, which is myself. I own a traveling tea party company. And so, with everything that's going on right now, we wanted to continue having tea parties, but virtually. So, I've set up, I actually have a tea room in the basement of my house. So, this is just one nook of the area. So, the plan is to invite special guests, at least probably like once a week or twice a week that are here. I live in the Virginia area, so it would be either small businesses, local people that work in the community, and we're also going to have some guests that live in other states and international. So I think in a couple of weeks we have someone from Ireland who is a murder mystery writer. So that will be exciting to have someone from across the pond. But today I wanted to introduce you to our guest speaker or guest at our tea party. And this is Jess. Welcome so much for joining us. So Jess is, so just a little bit of how I met Jess. So she is literally, her and her husband live next to me. So depending on what side of the street you're driving, it's either the left or to the right. So I think you moved in the neighborhood 2 years ago.
Yeah, it'll be 2 years in Labor Day.
Labor Day. And then we immediately, you know how it is, checking the mail, taking out the trash, or I know that we both have dogs and you have three dogs. And then we finally got to introduce each other. And then you had mentioned that you're a theater teacher in a high school and your husband too at separate schools through the county, through Fairfax County. So I just wanted to take this opportunity because I follow the page because you're at Mount Vernon High School and all of the plays and performances that you've put on, you know, the years that you've been at the school and just how everything that's going on, how it's affecting your program. And I do know that if you wanted to go ahead, this is just a little bit further on at tea time, but talk about the fundraising because I thought that was really interesting how I always thought the school provides funds for the materials, the costumes. So we'll get into that. But just real quick, what is in your teacup today?
Yeah, so right now I've been really big on a lemon ginger tea that I found. With everything going on, it's very soothing. It calms.
Yeah, and it's funny that you said that because I'm actually, it is a little bit earlier in the day, so it's a little bit after lunch. So I also have a lemongrass tea, and I think it has it probably does have lemon. It says citrus. So this is from Rachel from Elder Street Tea Shop. So a lot of the events that I host, like pop-ups, will collaborate together, or private events, we will showcase her tea. So that is what I'm having today. So let's get started. If you wanted to just share a little bit about your background, you know, what inspired you to get into theater and then also for teaching, because that's one thing to follow a career performing and on your own, and then deciding to teach, especially high school age. So.
Yeah. So I think I sort of took a different path than a lot of theater teachers do. A lot of theater teachers, they'll be doing the performing side of thing or the tech side of thing. They'll be doing professional work, and then decide they also want to teach, and then they go back and get the education degree. But I have always known I wanted to teach. So really, I was looking from square one to get, you know, all the credentials and the classes that I would need to be able to teach. As far back as I can remember, I wanted to teach. It was for a while, I thought maybe elementary education, and then there's math education. I tried really hard to avoid music education because my parents were both music majors, and I didn't want to do what they did, and you know, kids often don't want to do what their parents did. But I eventually fell into music education as what I wanted to do. Because, you know, apples don't fall far from the tree.
Right.
But yeah, so, and where I was living before, theater isn't something that can be certified. Like, you can't get a license in theater education in Pennsylvania. And so, because that's where I was living before we moved down to Virginia, was in Pennsylvania. And that's true for a lot of the country, is they don't have theater taught sort of as a a core elective class, right? It's not the same as it is here in Fairfax, where there's theater the same way as there is music and art and all of that. It's not that way in every state, and it wasn't that way in Pennsylvania. So I got my undergrad in music education, and took as many theater classes as I could in addition to that, with the hope that I could also teach theater. And then I joined different professional groups. I'm part of the Educational Theater Association. And through going to one of their conferences, I learned that there were school systems that had theater as part of their public school system, like Fairfax. And so I decided I wanted to, teach in one of those school districts. And that's how we ended up here in Fairfax.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So are you originally from Pennsylvania, or is that just one of the places here? Okay.
Yeah, my whole family's from the Pittsburgh area, though I never lived in Pittsburgh. And then my husband's whole family is from the Philadelphia area, and he is born and raised Northeast Philly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we're both from Pennsylvania.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting, with the background that you have, just growing up with parents that are in the music field and then just branching out into different parts of the arts. And I never realized that, since I was actually born in England, I came here when I was 11 and always lived in Fairfax County and Arlington County. So I didn't realize that different states doesn't have that as like a full-time extracurricular activity.
Theater educators are working to change that, but it's a slow process. There's a lot of advocating going on at all the different levels of government, and to try to make changes like that. Like when I was up in Pennsylvania, I was a part of a group of theater teachers who were trying to make theater education more of a thing in Pennsylvania. And it's not that they don't have theater classes; there's not a full-time theater teacher. The classes they have are usually taught by either the music teacher or the English teacher. So it's just a very different way of looking at things, and their programs are usually more club-based as opposed to having actual classes where you're sort of building skills in a very different way than if it's a club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was interesting. If you could just tell us so the structure, you had just mentioned that it's more of a curriculum that they go through. So is it one semester or one quarter that they have the class, or would it be through the whole year?
Here in Fairfax, you mean?
Yeah.
So the Fairfax County curriculum, you can start in middle school, which is awesome because we were really fortunate here in Fairfax County that we have such a thriving theater curriculum. It's so incredible. It's, again, one of the reasons that we moved down here from Philadelphia was to teach in this school district because of what they offer and how amazing the theater programs are. So you can start in middle school, and they have, I believe it's Theater Arts Appreciation, and then you can take a second year of it as Advanced Theater Arts Appreciation. And I believe there are other electives being added in the middle school. I think they're adding a tech class to start teaching middle schoolers, basics of tech theater, so like construction type things and lighting and sound. I think some of them have even started adding a musical theater class too, which is also awesome. So that's sort of a growing curriculum. And then once they get to high school, the sort of standard courses that are offered are theater arts 1 through 4. So you can take a theater arts class all 4 years of high school. And that's sort of very performance based. So it's lots of acting, playwriting, directing, little bits of tech, but more performance based. And then you can also take technical theater 1 through 4, where you learn all of the backstage stuff. So the building, the constructing, the painting, the costumes, the lights, the sound, all of that is tech theater. And you can take that all 4 years as well. Depending upon what school you are, sometimes there's an IB theater class that you can take. So if you're in an IB school, there's often an IB theater class that you can take when you're a junior and senior. We recently added theater arts dual enrollment to some of our schools. So both my husband and I teach theater arts dual enrollment at him at Chantilly and me at Mount Vernon, where students can actually get college credit for taking the theater class. So it's dual enrollment because they're dually enrolled. The theater class is connected to one of the theater courses that are offered at Nova. So students can enroll in their junior and senior year and get either, depending upon how many years they take of it, 3 or 6 credits towards their college in a theater class. So that's a really cool thing that's offered. I think at some of the high school courses, they also offer a specific musical theater course as well. But that's only at a couple of them. So there's a lot of opportunity.
There's a lot. Wow.
Yeah, it's really incredible. We are very lucky. Our students,
Yeah.
I tell my students all the time, like, you don't even know what you have.
Yeah.
Where I went to school, I think we had one drama class, and it was for a semester, and there was just the one. So once you took it, you were done. And so the fact that our students can take 4 years of theater and can take multiple different kinds of theater classes is so.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that setup has been like that, because high school I was in Arlington, and I see I know with social media and graphics we have so much more accessible ways of doing it that that I get to use. Before you had to get pay a graphic designer to get a lot of things done. But as far as your sets, like every time I'll see pictures from different performances, and now it makes sense because you have the year plus after school activities to get ready, because they look like professional, adult plays, like with the sets, the costumes. I'm like, oh my God, this is just high school. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
It's really awesome that we're able to do that, and it's all student done. I can't speak for other programs, and we do have parent volunteers, but a majority of the work in terms of the building, the painting, the sewing, all of that is being done, I want to say 95% by students, and even the designs themselves. The students are designing them. They're creating all of the renderings and doing the research and all of it. It's awesome. And they do a really great job. I have awesome students.
Wow. Yeah, no, it definitely can tell by the performances. And I'm sorry, since I mentioned before, this is the basement. I don't know if you can hear. They're upstairs, like they're all stomping. They sound like horses or something up there between Chloe barking. Somebody must be dropping off something. But so let's talk a little bit, because that was also another topic. For some reason, I didn't think it was going to cover everything, but I thought that the school system had covered a lot with like the costumes, the sets, the programs. I can imagine the pamphlets, all the printing. But could you kind of explain that, with the ticket sales and the fundraising, what does that go towards?
Yeah. So the school has funding for classes, which is helpful, because we have what we need. Again, we're very well supported. Fairfax County does a great job in supporting its classes and things like that. But similar to like the after school athletics programs, our after school theater program, we don't get money from the school. And that is the same way, like I said, that, it's just like all of the other after school programs. So we're not any different than any of the sports teams. So we really are our main source of funding for all of the stuff that we do after school, which includes all of our shows, is really through ticket sales primarily. That's how we buy all of the lumber that we need. That's how we get the rights to do the shows. It's how we get the materials from the costumes and buying the paint. All of that comes through what we make on ticket sales from previous shows. And then we also do a lot of fundraising throughout the year. We do different candy sales. My booster parents put on a fall festival in the fall, where they have vendors and games and food and stuff, so that helps. Right now we have our online fundraiser happening, and that is, if you go to our webpage, there's a button there, and I think we also have the links for it on our social media. You can click on that. But that's our sort of annual online fundraiser that we do every year to sort of help fund the upcoming shows. So between our fundraisers and our ticket sales, that's really the only way that we are able to buy the things that we need. And I don't know that everybody realizes just how expensive it is to put on a show, like the rights to perform a musical. So just like anything, right, shows have copyrights, and so you have to go through the right sort of procedures and licenses and all of that to perform whatever show you want to perform. And just to perform a musical, getting the rights to do the musical, all the materials, like the scripts and things like that from the company, it costs you thousands of dollars. I think my first year we did High School Musical here, and it was $5,000 just to have just for the scripts and the materials and things like that. Not counting lumber and costumes and paint and any advertising or anything like that. Just for the scripts and the rights to do the show was $5,000. And then lumber, I mean, anyone who works in construction knows how expensive lumber is. So,
or home projects like my husband
home projects,
does.
right?
Well, you get to see my she shed, right? We share the same bed, so you get to see
the she shed is so cute. But yeah, it's really expensive, and people, I don't think, often realize just how much money it takes. So yeah, the ticket sales and the fundraisers, really, that is so important for funding the shows that we do.
Yeah, and I do know, I mean, I can just imagine, as you mentioned, ticket sales and booster activities, because I know that you had your spring performance. I think it was Charlotte's Web, or maybe that was in the summer, but you had 2 more, I think, for the rest of this year that you were
Charlotte's Web was in January. Charlotte's Web was in January. Our spring performance was going to be Little Shop of Horrors, and it was going to be so amazing. The designs and the choreography and the way the pit was sounding and the way my students were acting and singing, it was going to be a really incredible show. And unfortunately, like a lot of theaters, both the community theaters, the professional theaters, and the high school theaters, a lot of our shows this spring have just been canceled, and we don't, we don't know when anything is going to happen again. But that was canceled, and we usually do a show in June as well, and that won't be happening this year either. So we're losing all of those ticket sales.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate that that's going on, but as the sooner we can get this to be over, it's totally understandable with the separation or the distance that we need to have between each other. So let's see. So I didn't realize there was different. I mean, I know we have different, not counties, but districts. So, so you're not. Our local high school is SoCo, South County.
Yeah.
So I do know that everyone is very close knit. You have your community with the high school teachers, right?
Yeah. I have such a great group of theater teachers. My colleagues are awesome. And we're all struggling through this, right? We're everything that I'm talking about in terms of what we're doing at Mount Vernon is the same at all of the different high schools and middle schools for their theater programs. The South County Theater Program, that's a great one. My program's good. My husband's is good. Chantilly, they're all good.
We have a lot of schools in our county. So I said we have a lot of high schools in our county alone.
Yeah.
So is there 2 teachers usually per school, or does it depend on the ratio of the classes? Or I mean, you can only speak, I think, for yours.
It depends on the number of students enrolled, like who sign up to take the classes. So there's just one theater teacher at Mount Vernon. That's me. Go Majors. At South County High School, there's just one. At Chantilly High School, they have a really large program, and so my husband is one of 2 theater teachers at Chantilly High School.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. So let's see. Before we go, I will share the links, but so for right now, I know for starting for next school year, would it be through like to donate would be the links that I'm going to add? Or how would that work?
The links that are in there, all the funding in there will go towards whenever we're able to start making shows again, right? Which we're hoping for the fall. And I can't say what the shows are. Any of my students who watch this are going to be disappointed. We announced them at the end of May, and they've been trying to get me to reveal what next year's shows are, and I won't reveal them until the big announcement at the end of May. But we have some really great ideas for next year. And I would just say anyone who wants to support, donating is great. That's an awesome way to help our program. But really, I just want to encourage everybody to go and see their high school, see their middle school shows. This is really the training ground for the future performers, right? All of the professionals that you see on stage and all of that, and not just in live theater, but these are the people who are going to be working on your TV shows and your movies and building all of this sort of sets for all of those things, not just live theater. So the more that you can attend and support is really important. And wherever you are, right? No matter where you are, find out what your high school and what your middle school is doing for theater and go support those artists. And
Yeah.
show them that you value the work that they're doing, and that I think matters more to them than anything. It seems
Anything.
that you support them.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned before that, of course you want your family to support you and friends, but the fact that there's other people that you don't know and they're taking time to see your performance, I think that must be an extra boost that they get for
It
those
definitely
people
is.
supporting.
It definitely is. I cannot express to you how much it means to my students when they see just like a full house of people and they only know some of them. Because they feel like people are valuing their work and they work so hard on everything. The number of hours that my students put in to put up these shows, and that's true of all of the different high school and middle school programs that we have.
Yeah. And even if, before we wrap things up, I think that was a good point that you said for future, like what they're kind of guide them, what they're going to do after high school and then careers. But if they decide, just to do it a different route and to pursue another career, the fact that they've had all of this exposure, just, maybe that's like, we've talked about this, an introverted person, and they come out of their shell or they build that confidence. I don't know if you see that. I've done some mentoring in the past, and you'll see the ones that are extremely shy and introverted, and by the end of the program, because it was during the school year, an after school program, how much they've blossomed and really like gotten to know, who they are to a certain degree, because I know they're a certain age, but just that transformation and all of that they're going to be able to take with them in the future is great.
Yeah, it's one of the things I think that I love most about theater is that really there is a place for everyone. Like you don't need to be the person who wants to be the star on stage. Like there is something about theater that can connect for every person. And it doesn't matter if you think you want to perform or you think you want to go into design or anything like that down the road. There's something in there that like can help you as a person, no matter what you want to do. And so it's just a really great way for anyone to sort of grow as a person.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I know that you're in between trainings with this new distance learning and trying to figure out, is it live, not live? And I can imagine with theater, there's a lot of things that you need to do still till the end of the year, get really creative so you're not in person. So but thank you again, and we will catch up soon. I know we're just ourselves with our neighbors. We've had a couple of happy hours on our decks together, so we need to plan another one soon since the weather's getting better. So thank you so much, Jess, and we'll catch up.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye.